Convenience is the get-out-of-jail-free card for cinema. How many times have you watched an action flick and noticed just how lucky it was that a truck happened to drive past for the hero to fall onto? Or that there was a solve-all button that kills all of the aliens in a sci-fi? The answer is a lot. But there are some films which take the piss with their Deus Ex Machinas and just plop a solution to a problem outside of the narrative into the mix. It's all rather unsatisfying when watching, but it makes for a good list. So hey-ho, it's off to Shall I Go. With this in mind, I'm Jules, the longest reigning Twitch champion on Whatculture.com. Check it out. And these are 9 movie plots made possible by ridiculous convenience. Number 9. The majority of Bond films use gadgets. James Bond and complex escape sequences using gadgets go together like me shopping in IKEA and a sense of rage not known by man nor beast. Well, it turns out that the writing process for most of the old Bond flicks was to come up with the escape scenario first, and then the writers would go back and add in a bit of dialogue or a gadget when Bond is chatting with Q to supplement it. It's why he only ever gets useful equipment. However, without knowing this and just watching it through for the first time, you can't help but think, bloody hell, if only I had this sort of forward-thinking planning, maybe my life wouldn't be in the doldrums it is today. Number 8. Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F Temporal Do-Over. So a lot of you probably haven't invested much time in DBZ since you were much younger, but this film is actually a bit of a belter. But before you go spiking your hair, donning your gis and charging your keys, you're gonna have to swallow one hell of a ridiculous plot convenience near the end. Basically, at this point, Frieza has had his men pop Goku in the heart and blow up the planet. This is, as you'd expect, bad news for all involved. However, before you can even comprehend Goku dying yet again for reals this time, it turns out that the assistant to the God of Destruction suddenly reveals that he has the ability to turn back time by 5 minutes, thus erasing all this nastiness. It's as ridiculous as it sounds, comes out of nowhere, and while useful to the plot, feels very, very cheap. Number 7. Independence Day Aliens Use Windows. Between Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith suddenly becoming badass Prince of Bel Air Force One, Independence Day is a pretty ace flick. Yet one hilarious piece of convenience that pops up in the film's climax is so laughable that you probably thought the writers clocked off early when this part was punched up. So the daredevil ploy of the main characters is to take down the mothership with a virus. A computer virus, nonetheless. Now, if at any point you thought to yourself, hang on pal, what are the odds that the aliens would even be using a computing system similar to us humies? Well, you'd be hushed loudly by the writing staff, as that's exactly what happens. And it's Windows 95 as well. To be fair though, all the best things at the time used this OS, so I really can't blame them. Oh wait, yes, I can. Number 6. Signs. Aliens are defeated by water. The aliens in Signs are a bit of a weird bunch. They'd come all this way, meaning that they clearly had some pretty impressive tech behind them, and yet were undone by the most common part of our planet: water. Now, you could say that maybe the aliens didn't know about this crippling weakness, but the way that it's introduced is just laughable. Seemingly doomed to face the same fate as Shyamalan's directing career, Mel Gibson is saved by a bit of the old aqua vitae, which burns straight through this CG monster. It sure is lucky that his daughter has a habit of leaving half-drunk glasses of water around the house for no real reason, right? It's just so dumb. But you know what? This leads me to something else, and I'm just gonna level with you here. When I first saw this film many moons ago, I actually thought that the twist was going to be that his kids were aliens. Go back and watch them today. Just watch how they act and tell me that they're not just the fucking weirdest bunch of kids ever. Number 5. Raiders of the Lost Ark. U-boats only dive below the surface. Now, see, I'm willing to suspend my disbelief a lot for cinema. But the one thing I will not budge on is George Lucas's views on German U-boats. Yes, it's a weirdly picky point, but I'm going somewhere with this. So in realsies, U-boats were notoriously difficult to detect because they were such deep diving submersibles. Now, in the Ark of the Covenant, starring everyone's favourite man with a whip this side of a BDSM sex dream, Indiana Jones, Lucas seems to believe that subs only dip below the surface. This lets Indy hold onto the periscope and travel all the way to a secret location. How very convenient that he wasn't just left stranded alongside Wilson. Wilson. I miss that guy. Number 4. Love Actually, airport security is useless. 2 years before 9/11 changed the face of airport security measures came a film alongside many which simply laughed at being told, excuse me sir, you can't go through there. Forget Die Hard 2's opening airport shootout. Love Actually is actually the mother of all airport mad dashes. Basically, this lovesick kid, who you probably know as the guy who grew up to star in Game of Thrones and look eerily like he's not aged a day, rushes past the most bumbling airport support staff and through all security checks with all the difficulty of Simon Miller crushing an ant with his ridiculously muscled fingers. How convenient and how worrying it is to see these good men and women fail so spectacularly at their jobs. Number 3. iRobot Superhuman Bionic Limbs. While iRobot is an enjoyable sci-fi action romp, there was one thing that really bothered me. Wasn't it super lucky that Will Smith had a really powerful and super durable bionic arm? Not only does it save him countless times, allow him to fight back, and also let him grind down the supercomputer at the end of the film, but it was kept pretty hush-hush until it was truly needed. By this, I mean that at no point before it became used as a Hulk smash option did we see any other humans who displayed bionic appendages, meaning that the audience was conditioned not to expect it to be a big thing once more. And yes, I know he mentioned it at the beginning, but it's kind of a lazy thing if you've got him being the only person who benefits from this. I mean, that woman looks like she could do with some robotic lungs, if I'm honest. Number 2. Return of the Jedi, Yoda waits for Luke to die. Now, obviously, this was a sad moment for us all, but the wound needs to be reopened. Yoda's passing is an emotional scene, but there's a certain level of ridiculousness about it. Luke leaves his friends, having saved his compadre Han Solo, and makes for the Dagobah system, where according to the official timeline, it's been a year since his last visit. When he arrives, Yoda is incredibly frail and doesn't appear to have much long left. However, conveniently, the diminutive Jedi has exactly enough time to confirm Luke's fears that Darth Vader is indeed his father, and that there's definitely another Skywalker kicking around the galaxy somewhere. This scene literally just exists to tie up loose ends, kill off another Jedi so there's only 3 left alive, and move quickly on before fans wise up to how manipulative this moment was. And number 1, Superman. Kryptonians are basically humans. Probably the most convenient occurrence in cinema history centers on one of pop culture's most iconic heroes, Superman. The Man of Steel is instantly recognizable around the world, but there's every chance that might not have been had his creators gone down a more familiar alien route. Isn't it just so lucky that Kryptonians look exactly like humans? That they're not just the same bipedal form, but aren't too tall or have any weird appendages like extra toes or teeth or a third eye, although to be fair, you'd fit in pretty well in Hull. When you look at the Green Lanterns, you'll notice that only the human Green Lanterns look, well, human. All others are totally different in skin tone and appearance. Even more of a convenience is that Kryptonians also have perfectly compatible genitalia. What are the odds? And that's our list. Got any more film plot conveniences which save the day? Well, let me know about them in the comments section below. And why not swing by Whatculture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon.